This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty, there he is. We just caught him. He just picked up Baker Mayfield right now, right, Scott? Is that what you just did right now?
Oh yeah, Ben Skoranek is going to lead me to the fantasy glory, to the championship. But what a choke job from the Raiders, man! What a choke that was.
Well, wait a minute, but that's what they do, right? 4 times this year, 13 points or more. They've given up 4 of those leads this year alone, dude.
And probably living right the last couple of weeks, winning overtime games, and reminding us who they were. Just another mediocre team. I thought before the season, we know when you analyze the NFL, you're going to get a ton of stuff wrong. I thought the AFC West was going to be where the action was. I thought Russell Wilson was going to be good. I thought Derek Carr was going to have a great season. I thought 3 teams in this division might make the playoffs. Obviously, that's not going to happen, and the Chargers haven't been good either. I had the Chargers going to the Super Bowl. That's not going to happen either. The Chiefs have showed up. The rest of the NFC West is still somewhere and stuck in traffic.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's the AFC West has been an absolute disaster compared to what a lot of people thought it was going to end up being. You're right about that. But all right, we got all kinds of fantasy questions to get to. I would imagine I think you got Tua right in some of your teams. I would imagine you're expecting a monster, because I think he's going to light it up this week. I think he's going to have a monster week.
Yeah, I'm really motivated, really excited. That's a Sunday night game, and again, underscoring how bad the Broncos were this year, that they actually forced NBC to not want to televise Patrick Mahomes. They said, get this guy off my television. So we get the Tua game, the Herbert game. I think both offenses are going to show up, and I'm not too worried about what we saw last week. Obviously, the 2 tackles didn't play, and the Niners have a very good defense. Tua still got numbers, right? I mean, the long completion to start the game. Tyreek Hill had a big game. But I think they're going to be throwing haymakers Sunday night. So get your popcorn ready and get your guys active, because there's going to be points.
Yeah, I don't think Tua will be missing all the people he missed this past week. That was an aberration for me. If it starts happening again, then yeah, maybe I can start worrying about, oh my God, are these the yips here for this kid? But I just think this is one of those moments where anybody has an off moment.
For sure. I mean, Josh Allen, had his lunch handed to him by the Jets a few weeks ago. Mahomes just lost to Cincinnati last week. The Eagles aren't undefeated. I mean, everybody has weeks like that. Minnesota got their doors blown off by Dallas maybe a month ago or something like that. It's just the NFL. You're going to have it's such a long physical season that there's going to be ebbs and flows. It doesn't make sense. I wouldn't want a team to go all out and to have its best performance every week of the season. It doesn't make physical or mental sense. There's going to be highs and lows to the season, and last week was one of them. You're glad it was an out of division game, out of conference game. If you're going to lose a game, those are the games to lose. Obviously, they have a lot of AFC East games coming up, which has turned into the best division in football. The Patriots are the worst team in the AFC East, and they're probably an average team right now. The Jets are a lot more fun with Mike White, a quarterback. Garrett Wilson looks like a stud. Obviously, Buffalo is a prime Super Bowl contender. Miami's going to the playoffs. So, all that stuff I thought was going to happen in the AFC West, it's turned into the AFC East is the place to go. Although, man, could the Patriots be any more boring? They have a good running back, and that's it. You don't want to play anybody. I mean, maybe you'll play Hunter Henry on Monday night because Arizona can't cover the tight end, but Mac Jones, I think, has played once all year. It was that Minnesota game, and that was more about Minnesota's defense being bad. But so the Patriots, it's just weird for the Patriots who have ruled this division for so long. I mean, not the last couple of years, but they are about as vanilla as it gets. I'm not touching them. I have Stevenson in a couple of leagues. That's great. Again, Henry against the Cardinals. I'm in here for it. They have nothing else you can use for fantasy.
I'm with you. All right. If you guys got some questions, time to send them in here on the chat board or, of course, on the Welt and Rayom text line. That's 855-912-1056. Let's see. Let's go with Chad first. He's got a flex. Mostert, Pirine, Ayuk, or Devontae Smith?
I would go with Pirine if Mixon is ruled out again, which we'll have to see what happens with the Friday practice. I think Mixon will probably play. Otherwise, Mostert looks really good against that Chargers defense that cannot stop the run. They can't stop a nosebleed. They're 5.6, 5.7 to carry, something like that. I forget what the number is, but it's gaudy. Everybody has run on the Chargers. They have all sorts of scheme problems, all sorts of injury problems. So I would lean Mostert there unless Mixon's out. If Mixon's out, then P. Ryan, I think, is an easy play.
Joey's asking, I took a risk and started Cam Akers since Kenneth Walker's hurt. I have Jeff Wilson Jr., Damian Pierce, that is, James Cook, and Ricard White on my roster. I need 2 of them to start this week.
Probably White and Pierce for me. Fournette not going to practice Friday. Now, again, the Niners are a horrible draw, but they'll throw the ball to White. He had the game-winning touchdown last week, and I know Houston's an offense you don't want to go near, but Pierce still will get double-digit touches. I hate not saying yes to Wilson, but after a week where he hardly played, I know the matchup's totally different this week, but I just need to see him back in the circle of trust before I use him for fantasy. So White for sure, and I would also use Pierce.
All right. Brandon's asking Bam Knight or Travis Homer.
I like Bam Knight. I think he's their best back, and even when Carter is expected back this week, Buffalo's a tough matchup, of course, but yeah, I give the Jets credit. When Knight's first action came where they just said, you know what, James Robinson, you're not good enough. We're just going to sit you out. You're not hurt. You're a healthy scratch. A lot of times a Bam Knight doesn't get a chance to play unless there are injuries. The Jets actually realized he was their best running back healthy. Obviously, Breece Hall would be if he was around. But I think Knight's going to get 15 touches in this Buffalo game. I've been really impressed with him.
By the way, don't forget Sports Grill. If you're going to go this Sunday to watch the games, $1.50 Bud Light drafts and bottles during the NFL games and NCAA games. So when the bowl games roll around, you can get that too. And they've got new cocktails. The cherry lemonade and the tailgate tea are only $5 during NCAA and NFL games. And bone-in wings right now are 15% off. All right, Jeff Wilson or Donta Freeman? Paul and Del Rey is
I think that's Foreman, right?
Foreman. I'm sorry.
Carolina's been kind of plucky. They're still not eliminated. I'm going to lean Foreman because I think he has a better chance at maybe getting 20 touches.
Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? Do you think Mason and P. Ryan are worth holding on in case if injuries to Mixon and CMC?
Yeah, that's what we do this time of year, right? Is those lottery tickets, where you need the injury in front of them. You would never play P. Ryan if Mixon were playing, and Mason with CMC. So I'm trying to get as many of those guys as I can. Maybe Kelly of the Chargers is another one you might get. Alexander Madison's probably rostered in a lot of leagues, but not every league in Minnesota. Those are the types of guys you want in your bench right now. So for sure, if you can hold them, and I realize there are 6 teams that don't play this week, so you may not have that luxury. You may have to drop some of these guys because you need to win this week. But if you don't, get as many of those lottery tickets on your bench as you can because they may be starting for you in the fantasy playoffs. Running back is the most injured position we have. So those are very important players to have if you can roster them.
All right. And easiest way for us to find these questions is obviously on the Welt and Rayom text line, 855-912-1056. Let's go to that, 855-912-1056. Christian Watson, or should I try to move him? Is Christian Watson legit, or should I try to move him? They're being asked.
Yeah, I think he's legit. Unfortunately, he doesn't play in Week 14. One of those 6 teams off are the Packers, but man, they're scheming him touches. I mean, he's got a touchdown run lately. He scored touchdowns in 4 straight weeks. We know it's hard to get into the Aaron Rodgers circle of trust, but Watson's in it right now, to the point that I actually dropped Allen Lazard in the league, who was ostensibly their number 1 receiver most of the season. But I need to win in a certain league, and I didn't want to drop Lazard. I had to, but it's in part because I think Watson's legit, and we see it a lot. It's a theme, right? Rookie receivers, sometimes they're the slower
Draft
developing
pick,
photo.
That's
right?
their draft pick.
Look at some of these guys, right? I mean, Burks was playing great until he got hurt last week. Maybe he won't go this week in Tennessee, but Watson was a guy, 2nd-round pick. Garrett Wilson has been really good with Mike White. I think after the bye, the Falcons are changing their quarterback. Okay, Drake London had a big game Week 13. I think Drake London could maybe be a September impact player. Again, he can't December impact player. He can't help you this week because they're on bye, but Ritter can't be any worse than Mariota. I make sure Drake London's not sitting on waivers. It's, again, these rookie receivers, a lot of times it takes time for them to get their feet wet, and then they finish the season on a high, and a lot of these guys are doing it right now. Watson chiefly among them.
All right, pick one, DK Metcalf, A. Cooper, D. Smith.
I got to play Metcalf. I think it's 6 games in a row where Geno Smith's been over 100 quarterback rating, and their passing game is so concentrated. They really throw just to 2 guys. Also, Lockett's got a 5-game touchdown string. The Seattle offense, man, I wish I could have gotten to Geno Smith before the season, because even if I didn't draft him, I would have Lockett and Metcalf on all of my teams. There's no way I'm sitting Metcalf this week.
All right, Peoples-Jones, Pickens, Nico Collins, or Chark?
Peoples-Jones is probably the safest guy. I think Chark maybe has a little bit more upside because that Minnesota pass defense is not good. So I lean Chark. I wouldn't mind if you played Peoples-Jones. I just don't think he has a ton of touchdown equity. And Watson looked like a guy who hadn't played in 2 years, right? He was just so rusty last week. Yeah. So, I lean Chark, though. Goff's playing at a very high level. The Lions have won 4 out of 5. The loss was a very close game to Buffalo. So Chark's my preference, but I wouldn't mind Peoples-Jones either.
Bills or Patriots defense?
Yeah, it's about who's favored, right? The Patriots are close to a pick-em, where Buffalo is a bigger favorite against the Jets. Granted, Mike White's played well, but it's not like he can't turn the ball over too. He had a couple of big picks against Minnesota, so
he didn't play well last week.
No, he didn't. You could say he was exposed to some extent. Granted, look, I'm just so happy Zach Wilson's not playing, right? Nobody wants any more Zach Wilson in their life, but I would have to play the Buffalo defense.
I'm with you there. And this question for me is a no-brainer. Keenan Redfarm is asking Mike White or Jared Goff. It's Goff all the way, dude. The way he's
and
playing,
also no elements too, right? I mean, indoors, which is also a nice tiebreaker. But the Lions get a good thing going. They got an offensive line that's played very well. They finally, after like 6, 7, 8 touches every week, it felt like they finally got Swift going last week. You get up to 18 touches. Jamal Williams has been good. The Sun God.
I'm not trusting Goff in the playoffs or anything like that. But for fantasy purposes right now, he's actually a pretty good option, dude.
For sure. And he's got good pieces. St. Brown's top 7, top 8 receiver. St. Brown's one of those guys. You sit down to watch the games. It's 1:30. It's like, oh, St. Brown already has 5 catches. It's they always liked him, but since they traded Hawkinson, it's like everything funnels through him, and nobody can really seem to stop the guy. I know he runs a lot of short routes, but the Lions they're a competitive club, a great offensive line. So many teams. You saw it last week with Miami, how important the offensive line is. The Lions have probably a top 5 offensive line. That's why Williams has been so good this year, and they finally get Swift going last week. They're a very they're not going to the playoffs or anything, but I mean, there's a lot of fantasy juice in this team.
Yeah, the Mike White hype comes. Remember, he's also from here, from South Florida. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if any of these guys are because we have a lot of people on the chat board that are all over the world, so they may not be here in this town, but Mike is from this area. And then the New York thing, it just kind of reminds me of the Jeremy Lin thing, that if you happen to be good, then fire catches, it's New York, and they hype you up more than you really should be. And if you look at it, he kind of came down to reality. It'll be interesting to see how good he plays this week, or is it, again, kind of pedestrian, and then you're going to kind of get a feel for it's still better than what you had, but don't make it sound like he's the solution, is my point.
It's going to be a great litmus test if he finally faces a plus defense. Because, again, the Vikings, I know they're 10-2. Their pass defense is awful. I mean, Mac Jones looked like Peyton Manning a couple of weeks ago against those guys. So, yeah, we'll find out what Mike White – and also now teams have some tape on him too.
Yeah, and by the way, they just reminded me, we're at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Mike White is from Pembroke Pines, exactly. So, yeah, we're in the hometown.
Probably driving an Acura as we speak, yeah.
That's it. If he's smart, he's definitely doing that. By the way, Deshaun Watson, how bad is that, bro? Oh, man.
I need a prove-it game, and I won't touch him for fantasy. I mean, there's other things you have to deal with him, but until he shows me something, I'm not going near him for fantasy. You know who else drove an Acura, by the way, is Winston Wolfe in Pulp Fiction. He drove an Acura. He was 30 minutes away. I'll be there in 10.
Yeah, I remember that. By the way, is Foreman versus Seattle this week an RB1 or an RB2?
High-end RB2.
Okay, I thought so. And do you like DJ Chark this week against Minnesota, because that Detroit offense has been absolutely red hot?
Sure. And again, the Vikings, Mac Jones, I'm not sure Mac Jones is any good. He looked fantastic Thanksgiving night. I mean, this secondary it's so weird the Vikings are 10-2. They don't look like a 10-2 team. Cousins is having a very mediocre season, but they keep winning these close games. They've run incredibly lucky in close games. The Lions are going to score 24-plus points in this game. They might put up 30. Maybe they won't win. I mean, maybe Minnesota will win anyway, but I'm very proactive with this Detroit offense right now.
All right, what do you got going in Yahoo so folks can check you out throughout the weekend getting ready for the playoffs, baby?
Yeah, we put up sleepers and bold predictions on Thursday. Today we picked the games. We're 40-22 against the spread. Nothing wrong with that. Sunday, Fantasy Football Live, Barons and crew on video at noontime. I'll be on the Yahoo Fantasy handle if you need any additional help trying to set that lineup, make that trade, add, drop, whatever it is. And, this is money week, man. Most leagues start the playoffs next week.
Right.
But a lot of teams this week are playing into the playoffs, maybe trying to earn a bye. I mean, basically the games, we're all in elimination round in some way, shape, or form in December. This is where the money is. This is where the cheddar is. This is why you lift all them weights, as Bill Parcells would say. So come hang out with us on Twitter, and we'll try to help you. We want to get you in the winner's circle. This is why you lift all those keyboards and mouses. That's right, baby. But get it done. Magazines. That's why you spend all that time online, right? Because this is nobody will remember the big week 3 you had. That's all out the window now, and it's so much has changed. So again, I thought Russell Wilson was going to be a top 10 quarterback. That we have thrown that in the garbage. So much is different now, and he's not even top 20, bro. Holy crap! One of their games has gone over this year. Every other game has gone under. That's unbelievable. They have been an ATM if you just bet Broncos under every week. And a lot of these games are like 10-9. You're not even sweating it out in the fourth quarter. Yeah, it's terrible, man. It has been absolutely brutal to watch. Follow him on Twitter at Scott_Pianowski and catch his exceptional work there at Yahoo Fantasy. Scotty, as always, it's a pleasure. Thank you, sir. Have a great weekend. Great to talk to you, Big O. We'll see you next week. You got it. There you go. The great Scott Pianowski. And don't forget, baby, hot sauces are available. You can take home some of your favorite tastes, flavors. Yes, sir. The buffalo sauce, the Miami Heat, the blackberry, the barbecue, the Dale. Those hot sauces are awesome. They add it to anything you want, your chicken, your steak, your ribs, whatever you got at home. Remember the Doral location? I just cruised by the Doral location yesterday. I was forced to cruise by the Doral location. You know why I was forced? Because I had to get on the Palmetto, and there was an accident on the ramp to get on the Palmetto and 74th when I get out of Hialeah Park. And I normally go through there. I get the Palmetto to connect to the 836 extension, all that stuff. And so then I just took 74 straight down to 87th. And then I rode 87th all the way down to 36. And as I'm going by, I see the Doral location right there on 87th Avenue in the Doral City Center, man. So pretty cool. And it is close to being open. They got 7 great locations. They got 1 more coming, and that's the Doral location. Go to sportsgrill.com. Great place to enjoy the football action. That is your Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.